Imagine waking up on day with a strange trembling inside your chest, not a fear of anything specific, not a threat. You can point a quiet swirling sensation of dizziness, as if the ground beneath your life has loosened, as if every direction is suddenly possible. And yet none of them feel certain. This is where Søren Kierkegaard invites us to begin, because he believed that anxiety is not merely an emotion to escape, but a signpost to signal a profound revelation about what it means to be human. And when he said anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, he was revealing a truth that few people dare to face, the truth that freedom, the very thing we say we desire, is often the very thing that terrifies us think about. Freedom sounds beautiful when spoken aloud, freedom of choice, freedom of identity, freedom to shape your own destiny. Yet, when you stand in front of the vast space of possibilities, when all paths stretch out before you, when nothing is predetermined and noon tells you who to bed, there is suddenly a dizzying sense of responsibility, because now every step is yours, every mistake is yours, every consequence belongs to you alone, and therefore freedom becomes both a gift and a burden, a promise, a threat, a thrilling opportunity, and an overwhelming weight. Kierkegaard understood this paradox deeply. He saw that anxiety is born not from danger but from possibility, from the sheer openness of existence, from the realization that you are not confined, not fixed, not trapped, but capable of choosing, becoming, transforming. And although we often long for change, we're also frightened by what change demands, because freedom means responsibility and responsibility means R. Iskandrisk awakens anxiety, yet instead of interpreting anxiety as a weakness or a flaw, Kierkegaard urged us to see it as a gateway, a threshold, the beginning of true selfhood. Because anxiety arises precisely when you become aware that you're more than your habits, more than your past, more than the expectations placed upon you. It is the moment you sense that life is not scripted, that there is no predetermined role for you to play. And although this realization is terrifying, it is also the birth of authenticity. Consider for a moment the first time you realized use. Oh, choose your own path, not the one others laid before you, not the one you felt obligated to follow, but the one that resonated from somewhere deep within. There was excitement, yes, but also hesitation, a trembling sense of standing on the edge of the unknown. This trembling, this dizziness, is the anxiety Kierkegaard spoke of, and the fact that it feels uncomfortable does not mean it is wrong. It simply means you have encountered the truth of your freedom. However, most people try to escape this feeling. They drown it in distractions, they cling to routines they follow, the expectations of others, because doing so is easier, less overwhelming, less frightening when you let society choose for you. You no longer need to confront the dizziness, you no longer feel responsible for your own becoming. And although this may bring temporary comfort, it also leads to a silent despair, the despair of living a life that is not fully yours. Kierkegaard believed that the individual must face anxiety, must look directly into the abyss of possibility, must stand alone before the weight of choice, because only then can't they step into their real self. And herefore, anxiety is not a curse, but a teacher, a force that pushes you toward clarity, toward consciousness, toward the courage to choose. Yet this raises an important question. Why does freedom create dizziness instead of exhilaration? And the answer lies in the nature of choice. Every real choice requires sacrifice. Choosing one path means letting go of others, and the mind trembles when it realizes that each decision shapes the person you will become. Each choice closes certain doors and opens others. You are no longer simply drifting, you are steering, you are no longer merely existing, you are creating, and creational ways require uncertainty. Although many people believe that anxiety comes from not knowing the future, Kierkegaard would argue that it comes from realizing that the future depends on you, on your willingness to step forward, on your readiness to embrace possibility without knowing where it will lead. And this is the true dizziness of freedom, the awareness that nothing is guaranteed, that there are no perfect choices, no absolute certainties, only the courage to act and the responsibility to learn from. Hate follows. Think about how often you hesitate before making an important decision, not because the choice is dangerous, but because the possibilities are overwhelming. What if I choose wrong? What if I fail? What if I disappoint others? What if I am not who I think I am? These questions swirl like a storm. Yet they emerge not from a lack of ability, but from the recognition that you have the power to choose and therefore the power to shape your life. This is why Kierkegaard's anxiety as a sign of spiritual growth. When you feel it, you are standing at the doorway between who you have been and who you could become. You are confronting your own potential, your own freedom, your own capacity for transformation. And although the dizziness feels frightening, it signals that you are no longer asleep, no longer merely following the script given to you, but awakening to the truth that you are responsible for your own existence. Nevertheless, it is important to understand that Kierkegaard did not glorify anxiety, he did not say what should suffer, he did not claim anxiety is pleasant, he simply revealed that anxiety is meaningful, that tis an unavoidable part of becoming whole, and because of that we must learn not to run from it, but to listen to it, to understand what it is pointing toward, to see it not as enemy, but as a guide. You might ask, how can anxiety guide use? And the answer is simple. Anxiety reveals where your growth lies. It's housed you where you are resisting freedom, where you're clinging to safety, where your authentic self is trying to emerge, but your fears are pulling you back. And so when anxiety appears, you can respond in two ways. You can retreat seeking comfort and avoidance, or you can look deeper and ask yourself, what is this anxiety trying to show me? What possibility am I afraid of? What freedom am I resisting? What part of myself am I being invited to embrace? In this sense, anxiety becomes a compass pointing toward the future, toward the path of your development, toward the expansion of your inner world. And although following this compass is difficult, it is also profoundly rewarding, because when you walk through the doorway of anxiety, you enter a new relationship with yourself, a relationship built on honesty, courage, and self-awareness. Therefore, dizziness you feel is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of openness. The trembling inside you is not a flaw, but a signal that you are live awake and capable of choosing. It means that you are standing on the threshold of something larger, something truer, something that requires your full participation. Yet many people misinterpret anxiety as a sign that they should avoid something or stop or retreat. But Kierkegaard would say that anxiety of 10 arises not because something is wrong, but because something important is unfolding. You are confronting the magnitude of your own possibilities, and this confrontation is overwhelming, but also sacred, because it is through this overwhelming sensation that you begin to understand that your choices matter, that your life is shaped from within, not from outside. And that freedom, although heavy, is the very condition that makes meaning possible. Imagine for a moment that you felt no anxiety at all, that nothing ever caused you to tremble, that no possibility ever made your mind swirl. This wouldn't be peace, it would be numbness. It would mean you were not truly choosing, not truly engaged, not truly living, because a life without anxiety is a life without freedom, without inner depth, without the tension that leads to growth. This is why Kierkegaard insisted that anxiety must be embraced, not fought. When you stop fearing the dizziness, you can begin to explore it. You can begin to see that anxiety shows you your boundaries, your aspirations, your unfinished inner work. It reveals where you must become braver, more honest, more willing to step into your own potential. And although this process is unsettling, it is also the beginning of authenticity in us. Or words, anxiety is a doorway, a threshold, a moment of awakening, and the dizziness you feel is simply the mind reacting to the vast space of possibility that has opened within you, because when you realize that you can choose, you also realize that you must choose. And that realization is both empowering and terrifying. Kierkegaard invites us to stand in this space, to feel the trembling, to acknowledge the fear, and yet to choose anyway, because only through choosing Tao become ourselves, only through stepping into uncertainty Tao discover our strength, and only rough embracing freedom Tao create a life that is truly ours. So the next time anxiety rises within you, instead of asking, how do I get rid of this? Ask, what freedom is this pointing toward? What possibility am I being called to face? What part of myself is trying to emerge? Because when you ask these questions, you transform anxiety from an obstacle into a guide, from a threat into an invitation, from a burden into the beginning of your liberation. And ultimately, Kierkegaard's message becomes clear. Anxiety is not the enemy of freedom. Matisse, the proof of it, the taste of it, the shadow that appears when you step into your own power. It is the dizziness that comes when you stand too close to the edge of your own potential. And instead of stepping back, you choose to move forward, not because you are unafraid, but because you are willing. And this willingness, this courage, this acceptance of the trembling is the essence of what it means to live freely, to live consciously, to live authentically, and therefore to live as an individual not shaped by fear, but shaped by choice, not bound by the past, but open to possibility, not defined by limitations, but expanded by freedom and self. The next time you feel that dizziness, remember Kierkegaard's words, remember that anxiety is not a sign of failure, but a sign of transformation, a sign that you have stepped into the realm of possibility, into the truth of your own freedom. Dintoth the unfolding journey of becoming who you are meant to be.